Hello and welcome to South of King's Landing, the Explosion Network's Game of Thrones after show, where every week we come here and talk about the latest episode of Game of Thrones, theories, ideas, whatever. Today I am joined by Thomas Marshall. How you going, Tom?
I'm not sure whether to say it's your boy or Plat Plat. I don't usually say either.
Well, I guess you kind of said both, so you got it all bases covered.
We'll call it.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to have you on the show today, because you're probably the biggest Game of Thrones fan of the group, I think.
Am I?
Is that fair to say? Well, you're the one who's probably watched this season the most.
I have, at this point, watched every episode at least twice.
I'd say that's probably more than everybody else combined.
I tend to watch the episode the night that it comes out, and then probably on the Tuesday or the Wednesday of that week I'll watch it again.
Awesome.
Just because basically every episode this season has been outstanding, and I want to see that a second time.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So let's dive straight in, because this is a long one. This was a big 80-minute episode.
Yeah, it was.
Finale. Yeah, it was. So let's start. We kicked off with the Unsullied standing outside King's Landing, which was a bit of an awkward cut, because I didn't know where they were for a little while.
In fact, we started, or my first note was actually prior to...
Yeah?
I'll say it anyway. My first note actually makes sense when we... at the end of the episode, but for a few episodes this season, in the opening credits, there's been when it gets to the wall, the water on the right hand side of the wall out by Eastwatch has looked frozen, and that was kind of a theory that people had, that the Night King would actually just freeze the water and walk around the wall.
Yeah.
Spoilers,
Obviously,
that didn't happen.
Yeah, we'll get to that at the end of the episode, obviously.
And that just wasn't in this episode.
It wasn't? There was no water? Or?
No, there was. Yeah, it was all like water again. It wasn't looking frozen like it has been in odd episodes this series, which was...
So maybe they've been screwing with everybody for the whole season?
That doesn't sound like Game of Thrones.
No, not at all. But yeah, so we open at King's Landing with the Unsullied all lined in massive formation outside. Mm-hmm. And Lannister army is getting ready to drop oil in case this goes south.
Of King's Landing.
Yeah. God. So then we have Bronn and Jaime having a chat about the Unsullied army and how Bronn doesn't think he would fight if he didn't have a cock. which is a great conversation, I thought.
Bronn has been
summed up Bronn.
He's been pretty fantastic on that sort of dialogue.
Yeah.
Basically all the time he has been, but particularly these last few episodes he's been pretty outstanding.
Yep. Bronn is the MVP of this season, I think. He's been the real hero that we deserve. And the line I love from this conversation is Jaime goes, maybe it's just cocks in the end. It's all cocks in the end. That's what he said. So, yeah, summing up everything about Game of Thrones.
Summing up the Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So then the Dothraki show up, and Jaime has a sort of pierced
How did they not see
stress
them
disorder.
coming? How did they not see the horses coming? They're sitting on top of this ginormous wall at King's Landing, and everything is hunky-dory, and then all of a sudden, over the smallest crest, comes 1,000 fucking horses.
Yeah.
They must have the worst eyes of all time to not have seen that happening.
And now that you see the Dothraki and the Unsullied together, it's very much an odd couple. Like, the Unsullied is real formation, strict, and the Dothraki is crazy and all over the place. It's quite interesting.
Juxtaposition.
It is a very good, just that word.
Don't ask me to spell it.
No. So then we see Jon and his crew sailing into King's Landing. Not much to see there, but we do see the Hound checking his box to see that the white that they picked up last week is still living or unliving.
Yeah, it's still screaming or capable of.
Yeah. So then what happens next? We see Bronn they pretty much come in and we see the mountain and I'm lost in my notes. In hindsight, I should have taken better notes.
I've got some things. We get reunion time.
Yeah,
it's just reunion central. Like everybody's together now. Pod and Tyrion, and they have Bronn sort of throws in the sucker's magic cock or something line, and Tyrion and Bronn getting back together. Obviously, the Hound, who is not dead, and Captain
Brienne.
Phasma, yeah, and they talk about Arya like they're kind of they're almost like her parents at this point,
yeah,
sort of thing.
It was cool to see all these people finally coming back together, like after a couple of seasons.
Yeah,
Even if it was a bit awkward.
The Hound and the Mountain, I think for the first time...
They've been in the same area.
Yeah, probably not ever. I think they've probably been together before in the series. But
maybe early on.
I think as these actors, because the actor that's played the Mountain has changed, I don't think they've actually seen each other.
No. There's a lot of that. This episode saw a lot of the actual cast coming together for the first time. This dragon pit scene saw Cersei and Dany in the same room as Jon Snow. It's pretty crazy. We're finally at this point of the series.
I am intrigued as to where Bronn and Pod went. Apparently...
Well, do you know... Have you heard the rumour going around?
Yeah, old Cersei and Bronn can't be on screen together?
Yeah, they can't be in the same place together at the same time.
Yeah.
Because they're used to date and it went south.
Yeah, jilted ex-lovers of King's Landing.
Yeah.
One thing I actually missed that was... I didn't see, as in missed. When we're getting those sweeping shots of King's Landing, I wanted or expected a big gaping hole where the sept was. That Cersei blew up at the end of last season. And yeah, we're 10 years in the future or something stupid because of all the time travel. But we're a couple months ahead.
It's been 6 months.
But it should still be a mess in the middle of that city. And we don't see anything.
That's what all the other people have been doing. I guess they've been cleaning up.
Yeah, that's
anybody who's not a soldier has been cleaning up that mess.
The 1 million people in King's Landing are doing for us.
Yeah, however many goddamn people are in King's Landing.
Well,
another line I love.
Tyrion said there's 1 million.
Yeah, he did, which is more than in the north apparently. Which is an interesting tidbit. Another line I loved was the Hound and Tyrion were going. And he said, the Hound says, "Every bad idea is some Lannister cunt behind it," and Tyrion says, "And a Clegane cunt to see it through." And that's when Cersei and the Mountain and her hands show up in the dragon pit after making them wait a little while. So that was a good use of the word cunt.
Yeah, it was. I was actually wondering whether we swore like that on this show. And
yes, we do. If they say that word, then we get to use that word. That is the rules that have been established.
That's what
in these shows.
That's what I thought. That if they use it, there's a counter, and we're allowed to use it as many times as they did. So we might be all cunted out for this episode.
Yeah, probably. The Hound just needs to talk more in next season.
He does.
Yep. So Cersei and that arrive. The Hound and the Mountain share words, pretty much setting up the long-anticipated Clegane Ball that the internet goes crazy about, wanting to see the Mountain and the Hound go at it. So
that's going to be fun.
Foreshadowing there.
That'll happen next season, hopefully. And who do I want to die out of that too? Well, the Mountain's already dead.
Mountain's already kind of dead.
I would like him put to rest, sort of thing. But
put him out of his misery.
It would be quite nice if they happen to happen to each other. That the Hound manages to kill the Mountain, and then he sort of dies in some horrible way himself. But
sort of dies from his injuries or whatever afterwards.
Yeah, like he failed to the first time.
Yeah,
they can't fake us out with that twice.
No, they can't. That would be really disappointing if they did. But, So then Dany shows up, fashionably late, on a dragon.
How
she can.
Do they always get the scale wrong?
Really?
I don't know if anybody else is paying as much attention as I am.
Probably not.
Sometimes the shot looks like she's like she's basically got a foot on each wing, and sometimes the shot makes it look like she's well, I was going to say a dwarf, but there is a dwarf in the show. So sometimes it makes the dragon look like it's 200 meters long, and sometimes it's It's been a pain of mine for the show basically the entire time that it's existed, that they just can't get the scale consistent of person riding dragon.
They need to get those dragon wranglers to do a bit more.
They do.
Bit more work in post-production. So then my next note is Euron is a dick.
That's a fact.
Because he decides to pick on Theon, and then decides to pick on Tyrion after that. Kind of making his mark, trying to show that he's the big boy in the Lannister camp. What are your thoughts on that?
He's just a knob. It's like he's just a crazy character. I don't know what kind of to think of him. He's supposed to be insane, and he practically is behaving that way. But yeah, he might be a bit smarter than they're letting on.
Well, he does make a pretty smart decision, it seems, a little bit further on. So then the Hound finally brings in what they've been waiting for. Brings in the White Walker. And I think this ended up being very effective, this display. It was, he kicks the White Walker out, and the White Walker goes straight for Cersei. And thankfully, the Hound manages to pull it back a couple of inches away from her face.
Somehow.
Yeah, with a chain that suddenly appeared.
Yeah, magic chain. Not sure how it got on his neck, but it's on his neck. Don't worry, I've got this.
I assume they put it on before when they put him in the box?
Yeah. Lucky he ran in a straight line and not off to the side at someone.
Oh, no, but I think nobody else would have mattered.
No.
No. And then they show off how to kill a White Walker with fire or dragon glass. And
faked it to be dead, though, didn't they? And I was like, even though we had the scene in the ship, we had the scene in the ship where the Hound made sure it was like still awake or whatever, but then they drew out so long that the Hound was carrying it and it's not making any noise, and he puts it down and he unlocks the thing, and you're just like, I was anyway.
Yeah, like, what if it's just disappeared or something?
Yeah, like it better not have. There were kind of two options to think. Like it better not have gotten just too far away from it's
from the wall,
from the wall,
Night King
from the guy who brought him back to life, that he's now just a pile of bones, because that would fuck up the plan. And also like those Lannister soldiers that were pissing around, like talking to the Hound, asking what's in the box, if they had sabotaged it somehow, could have made that conversation quite interesting.
It would have made this meeting very, very disappointing.
Yeah, like he kicks over the box and there's nothing in the box, and Cersei's like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?
Just kill them."
Let's start with swords.
But yes. So then Qyburn, the hand, he goes and picks up the hand and has a look at it. Clearly impressed with the bringing back the dead bloke. He's obviously the guy who brought the mountain back.
That's what he's all about.
Yeah, he loves that dead stuff. If anybody is what's the word? Likes to fool around with the dead, it's definitely him.
Necrophiliac?
Fool around in the sexual way.
Necrophilia.
That's the word. Yeah, he's definitely that, I think. So then they show them how to kill the White Walkers, and it was very high school presentation.
Informative.
Like they rehearsed on the boat. We can do it with fire. Yeah. Or dragon glass. Yeah,
Here is a dragon glass blade I prepared earlier.
But not when I was over the wall trying to kill all the White Walkers last week.
No, I wasn't prepared for that expedition with 100,000 White Walkers, but this one, no, I've got this. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah, I'm prepared. So Euron goes up and has a look, and he asks the important question, can they swim? He answers no, and he says, well, see you guys later. I'm going back to the islands to wait out winter.
I'm outies.
And he tells Dany to do the same and gives her a seductive look and suggests that they'll both be the ones surviving after winter if they go with his strategy. It was a bit of an anticlimax for Euron. after all this season. You thought at that point of the show, so it's pretty interesting.
They didn't get me. Like I thought he was gone for real.
Yeah,
yeah.
You thought he was definitely going to leave.
I thought it was out.
Yeah, out like a coward.
Which doesn't make sense, and I don't know how I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it was completely out of
more,
character in hindsight. But White Walkers are pretty scary. Then, Cersei agrees that this is the terrible thing and that they should all work together, and accepts Dany's truce under the obligation that the King of the North stays out of their confrontation and stays neutral. And Jon, in all his infinite wisdom, says that he's already declared himself to Dany and fucks everything up.
Thanks, Jon. But actually, I appreciate that he's like one of very few people that have a backbone in this show.
Yeah. He and Ned Stark are the only ones who kept to their word. Of course, it didn't end very well for Ned Stark, but hopefully it will end a bit better for Jon.
It's alright, because Jon's not a Stark, so don't worry about it.
We have Brienne have a quick scene with Jaime and telling him to fuck loyalty, because this is bigger than all houses and oaths and everything, which was very interesting because she's the straight, need to follow oaths kind of person. So
she is oath person.
Yeah, then we have everybody telling Jon he's an idiot for telling the truth and he should have lied. And he says this. He says when enough people make false promises, words stop meaning anything. Then there are no answers. There are only better lies, which I thought was pretty poignant.
Yeah, I noted down when enough people make false promises, words stop meaning things.
Yeah,
that
was close. So Tyrion has a great idea that he should go talk to Cersei, which
great idea.
That's going to end well. So then they head back to King's Landing, and I've got Cersei's line. She's your kind of woman, a foreign whore who doesn't know her place.
She'll make the world a better place.
Yeah,
was essentially his comeback.
But that scene between Cersei and Tyrion, man, that was some good shit.
He got the biggest balls out on this show, even bigger than Jaime, but could both Jaime and Tyrion sort of stared the mountain in the face. And yeah, Tyrion, just insane.
It's interesting that in this episode, Cersei had the chance to kill both of them and didn't.
Chose not to.
Especially when they both effectively betrayed her.
But the thing that gets me a little bit about that whole situation is that there's no way Cersei could have planned all that out, particularly, it got to the point where it seemed that the entire plan was for somehow to have Tyrion know that she's got the baby and blah, 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 because we assume she's got evil and got these super evil plans. But I don't know how she managed to... how she figured that would be the case.
How she decided to tell Tyrion that she's going to join with them and then effectively screw them over later.
Yeah.
Was her plan.
Yeah. But I guess she came to the meeting with the plan to say she'll help and fuck them over, I guess, didn't she? But that kind of went to pop.
Yes.
And then she got back onto that plan by how? We don't know. We clearly got the conversation cut short between Tyrion and Cersei.
Yes.
Tyrion finds out she's got...
It felt like it.
She's having a baby, end scene. And there's some kind of... I don't know if, Tyrion's... It can't be that Tyrion's blackmailed her about that, because she doesn't give a fuck if people know
she doesn't care.
The baby is. She's, happy to say that it's Jaime's and... fuck you guys. I just don't know how they ended up leaving there with...
on good terms.
Yeah, on good terms with the resolution that they got, and Tyrion for the rest of the episode just looking concerned about everything.
Well, one theory getting thrown around is that he made a deal with her that she would say that she was going to go and just not go, just to get John and Danny out of this situation, just to get them heading towards the north, which would explain his looks at the end of the episode.
It would,
which,
yeah. Yeah, no,
I'm sure we'll get to.
I could give you that.
Yeah, so that's one theory. I did really like that he brought up Marcella and the other one.
Tommen,
that's his name. Because Cersei hasn't dealt with that at all this season. And I found it interesting that she found him killing Tywin to be the source of why her children died in the end. That she would go that far to connect all the dots, that it's all Tyrion's fault.
To blame Tyrion, yeah.
Yeah.
But she's just been wearing black perpetually, hasn't she?
Yeah.
She's just like queen in mourning the entire time.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that. That's a pretty interesting tidbit. That she's just mourning. Or maybe she just thinks black looks good. She's very slimming.
It's very evil, too.
That's true.
But maybe they're just trying to make us feel that way.
Cool. So then we have we jump cut to John and Danny having a conversation about him not lying.
Cut the sexual tension with a spoon in that scene. They're like ready to jump around the back and start making out.
All of a sudden she says, "I can't have children." Out of the blue. So it felt like,
oh, that's interesting. Yeah, says John.
I do like him saying, what was the exchange? It says, "Whoa, I can't have children. Who told you that? The witch who murdered my husband. Has it occurred to you she might not have been a reliable source of information?" Which, yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe she should have seen a doctor or something.
Yeah, because
Get a second opinion.
Maybe that whole, like... Because, the baby was... Although you didn't see it very much in, like, season 1. Or, I think it was season 1. It's pretty fucked up looking. But does that have anything to do with her going into the hut when she was, like... doing all that dark magic and stuff that fucked the baby up and then it died? Because would it otherwise have been just a normal baby? We don't know.
Yeah. Don't know. And I do like that he said, "We're fucked." Very good foreshadowing there.
Yeah.
So
the little dragon jaw that they were holding was really cool as well.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that they'd grown so small eventually. And,
well, I don't know what that the dragon pit was like when it was obviously like real and stuff, because it kind of looks like the Colosseum. But if you're like, they were talking about it as being a way to stop the dragons from
getting out
and raging over.
So it must have like a roof or something.
Yeah.
Before.
So was it closed over
or do they have chains like when they're in Marine?
Yeah.
They were chained down, maybe.
I'm also intrigued to know how the 1 million people in King's Landing weren't absolutely like shitting themselves when Danny came on in with her 2 dragons. Like, nobody's ever seen that before. Everybody should be really, really, really worried. But
I'm sure they were.
Well, maybe they were, but the city just seemed to... Well, as far as we know, the city was just kind of continuing as it was in the background.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to... there's no characters left in King's Landing who weren't at that meeting that we care about, so it's hard to tell.
You're probably right.
Pretty much everyone was there, so...
Yeah. I think the only other people that we've maybe seen are like some people at Baelish's establishment or something like that maybe we liked at the time.
I think that was closed down a long time ago. Lord Baelish hasn't been back to King's Landing in a while.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Well,
do you think he's still paying rent or something in the?
I don't know. He might have somebody.
Or does he own the property?
He might have somebody like sorting his girls out.
Sorting his yeah.
I imagine he was at the point where he was just like sitting back with multiple brothels, just taking the money, as opposed to being an active role in the daily management of hookers.
That's true. He only has high eyes for Stark girls. Speaking of...
True story.
We cut to Winterfell, where Sansa's just gotten the news that Jon has decided to bend the knee. She's not a fan of him bending the knee.
Yeah, so he must have sent that. He must have sent that while they were on the boat. And on the boat coming back from the Wall last episode down to Dragonstone.
It's true.
Because that's
Lucky they had a raven on the boat. They just keep it.
well,
I assume
you've
2 or
always
3.
got ravens, just in case.
That's true. Just and then Littlefinger suggests that maybe he's trying to marry the Dragon Queen, which which is probably true. He was. That's kind of John's line of thinking at the moment.
Yeah, he might be trying to
Maybe
marry
not
her,
marry,
but he's got something else in mind.
Definitely want to get close to her, get into a marital bed.
Whoa.
Whoa. Yeah, and then Littlefinger continues his work of working the 2 sisters against each other, suggesting that Arya is a threat and that she wants to murder Sansa to become the Lady of Winterfell.
And they got me hook, line, and sinker with that.
Yeah.
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 Obviously, there's like a double play kind of thing happening there, but I was hook, line, and sinker thinking that it was all going to kick off. The writing of that scene and the music and everything was just it was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Set
funny
it up
that
right.
he like Arya last week decides to play a game, which is like it's super creepy. You shouldn't say play a game as an adult. I think it's not to someone that young when you're that old.
Yeah, no.
Just take it the wrong way. But of course, that comes back to play beautifully in the later scene.
It does.
Which we'll get to very soon. Then we get Theon and Jon, and
How are they in Dragonstone already?
yeah. No, Theon got back to... Oh, yeah, they got back to Dragonstone and just working out how to get back to the north, because appearances are important.
You know, just go the wrong way and go and plan on your big table, because you can't plan anywhere else.
Yeah. It's important.
I suppose that they just understand that the wall exists.
That's an expensive
and it's fine.
table.
I believe that. It's quite large. Ornately sculpted.
Yeah. So Jon makes sure that that Dany and him are going to go back to the north together. Very important for what comes later. Another bit of foreshadowing. So Theon has a word with Jon before they leave, and sort of talks about how hard it was for him being a Greyjoy and living with the Starks, and how Ned was like a great father to him, but he was always conflicted, and how Jon always seemed to do the right thing and everything. And Jon says, "I've had many things that I regret," and Theon says, "Not compared to me." And Jon says, "No, not compared to you." I was like, "Damn, Jon! Oh, it's brutal."
Yeah.
This guy has no penis, and you have to hit him when he's down?
Yeah. Right in the non-existent balls, that shot.
Yeah.
What on like the previous scene, I like in hindsight, I'm not sure why they didn't think, or why like there wasn't a representative of the Lannisters there. Like that was basically just Jon and Dany going back to plan the whole northern expedition, and they're supposed to be teaming up with the Lannisters, but there are no Lannisters there. Interesting. If you paid enough attention, maybe you'd think it was foreshadowing, or maybe I'm just overthinking it in hindsight, now that you know that the essential twist is that Cersei says, "Go fuck yourselves."
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I guess they were thinking that they were too busy getting their army back from Highgarden and all the other places that they're currently stationed to head north.
Yeah, maybe.
Decided just to leave them to their own devices. They got what they wanted. They weren't going to fight each other or whatever, but bit of an oversight.
Just a bit.
In hindsight. Should have had somebody, at least for leverage.
Yeah.
Should have asked for Jaime to come along.
He's a friend.
Even though that didn't work out anyway. Yeah. He would have been looked after. But yeah. So back to that Jon Theon scene. Jon says, for what he can forgive, he forgives Theon. And says that he's a Stark and a Greyjoy. And tells him he should go get Yara.
Yeah, it's kind of a redeeming moment.
Gives him permission.
For Theon, but I don't really give a shit about Theon anymore.
I guess.
I'm kind of sick of him.
No, yeah.
And
It's
then,
kinda-
like,
yeah,
the
it's
next 10 minutes that
Theon.
maybe we could have just not had, and
where Theon goes and tries to recruit
that,
the rest of the Greyjoys to go rescue
it
Yara.
was a pretty piss-poor fight scene, and it was almost as bad. That ending was almost as bad as Martha. Like, was needing the knock balls
where
and again and again. And then all of a sudden he's just more powerful than the other guy and just absolutely rails him with like 3 punches and he's dead.
When he gets hits there, it's like when Popeye eats spinach. It makes him
It
strong,
has to be.
apparently.
If
Fun
you're a
fact about
Greyjoy,
humans.
yeah.
That's why the Unsullied Army is so
That's probably
powerful.
true. I was actually thinking that maybe if they didn't give us that like 8 minutes worth of Theon and Jon and fight scene, that the episode would have been a bit shorter, and that would have been fine.
No, but then we wouldn't have had Theon.
Yeah, no, he didn't
washing his
really
face in the
achieve
water.
anything.
I didn't have anything.
And like, he
No.
kills one guy, and so everybody's just on his side now. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. He did wail
did,
on that guy
but
a bit unnecessarily.
At the same time, if there's
getting a lot
another
of anger
person
issues
who
out.
disagrees with Theon, at that point he could just punch Theon in the face, and it will be game over. Yeah, or just like
that
flick
would
him.
be the end of it. Yeah.
He gone.
He was like, yeah, let's go save Yara. Instead of
Yeah.
going and raiding some island and
Let's-
stealing all the women, which was the
Let's
original
all
plan.
probably go
sounds like a
and
better
die.
idea.
Like, yeah, they all agreed
Yeah.
that no, Yara's dead. There's no saving her. It's game over. And then turns out, because you killed a man, I've changed my mind.
Yeah, let's go do it. Yeah. Well, that's what it's like in the Iron Islands. You kill a person.
That may be
and
true.
Everybody follows you. Yeah. They're kind of backwards. So clearly that's where Theon's going next season. He's going to
I have
go
extremely little faith
save Yara.
that he's capable of that.
Yeah, he'll
Fingers
probably
crossed.
die in the process. Hey, we'll come back to that because I have a theory of how he's going to die. Then we get to Winterfell in the best scene this season. I
Pretty good.
where Sansa gets Arya brought to their boardroom, I don't know, the meeting room, and there's a whole army of guards around, and you think she's going to be standing trial.
Yeah,
and
so
she's gonna
like
have to fight all these
a little
people to get
context
out.
on what I was
Because
thinking
Sansa's gonna-
as I wrote my notes for this. Have my sister brought to the Great Hall is the quote, and then fuck, 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 all in capital letters. Like, oh dear.
Yeah, my notes are similar. Mine says "thank fuck" because Sansa.
Oh no, that was
Turns
like
it on
when Arya's
Littlefinger.
being called. I'm like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, it's about to go down. Arya's gonna have to like kill
Yeah.
a whole load of fools, or she's gonna die, or Cersei's gonna die. This is terrible. Yeah, they had me hook, line, and sinker, as I say.
Had you
They
thought
had
it was
me.
going to be the sisters against each other, but no, they got Littlefinger so good,
Suck it, dickhead!
so good, and then
Yeah,
that stunned look
like,
in his face.
Old what's his name?
That's gonna be
Aiden
memed forever.
Aiden Gillen, incredible.
Aidan Gillen,
Incredible in that scene. Like the look of shock on his
Incredible.
face. Like he I think was more shocked, like genuinely shocked, than anyone I was watching the show with. Like I was like, we're all there. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, just his face, something else. And then to pleading, and then to crying, and then to
yeah, and then to have all his misdeeds come back to him, like the murder of Lysa Arryn through the moon door, and then Bran finally proves
He
useful and reveals that he killed Jon Arryn, which set off the whole War of the Five Kings, killing the first hand of Robert. I mean, and then to hear him pleading and begging, and
that knife is
and then Sansa just
little fingers
screwing
that, somebody tried to kill Bran with. Yeah, it's nuts.
yeah, and then and telling Sansa he loved her mum,
Did he?
and then you loved her.
Did
and you're
he,
saying
though?
that you prayed them both. I think
There's a very
he
interesting way
did.
of showing it.
I think. Yeah, he does. I think he loved them, but he always loved himself more.
It's,
I think was the thing about Littlefinger.
I guess the way that I would think about telling the story, I would probably close it with
Yep.
Littlefinger getting killed as like bookmarks for the start and end of the series. Like the start of the series is Jon Arryn dying because Littlefinger being a dick and whatnot, and the end of the series is then that being revealed and Littlefinger dying. Would be like quite an awesome sort of snapshot of this world, but
Yeah. This is kind of the end of the Game of Thrones.
yeah,
Now it's
well,
just sort
but
of
actually that's
a war for the throne now. But
that's
yeah,
probably
there's no more
fair.
scheming
Like,
to get in power.
The Game of Thrones
He was the last one.
is over as far as like this. Yeah, the person who really started shit now, and actually season 8 is focus on not everybody dying at the hands of the dead. Maybe they did kind of do what I wanted them to do, and I just hadn't thought about it until then.
Yeah.
It is.
It's so deep, this show.
Doesn't it make you want to write
incredible.
a book?
Not really. Although, if I was writing a book at the pace of George
that's about as fast as I'm
right.
currently writing a book. And well, I said it to another friend, probably about. Actually, I think when I was rewatching season 6 before 7 came out, that if I was writing the story, then and I'm probably like spoilers for my answer at the end of this episode. I would have the Night King win. Like, I would just be like, you underestimated how evil this guy is, and because you were still sort of fucking around trying to kill each other and get one up on each other. He came down, he killed you all. Westeros belongs to the dead now.
Yeah. Did it feel a bit awkward, this scene, them teaming up out of the blue after it seemed like they were at odds? Because we didn't really get a scene of them preparing for this. I know they wanted to do a bit of a gotcha and a surprise twist for the show, but did the logic behind it sort of feel like it was missing?
They're sisters and they love each other even though they have disagreements, and I think we got that in previous scenes of them, particularly like when they sort of were reunited down in the crypt. Probably set the tone for their relationship, and actually they're about family and they love each other, like regardless of squabbles and whatnot that they'll have.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I read somewhere that they wanted to make it similar to the betrayal of Ned Stark by Lord Baelish in like the first season, where he thought he was going in there to work. Yeah, he had his back, but then he sort of screwed him over. Yeah. So it kind of nice symmetry in the end, but yeah, and it's also awesome that he got his throat cut out, so he couldn't speak anymore.
Apparently, they recorded a scene that involved Bran revealing to Arya, I think Sansa, the fact that, well, basically the things that Bran said. They recorded a scene of Bran telling Sansa that, and that kind of getting Sansa on side of actually fuck Littlefinger as opposed to fuck Arya. But they took it out, and I think in taking it out, that scene was a lot more impactful and a lot more out of the blue.
Yeah, which worked in the long run, because that surprise of her turning on Lord Baelish is probably one of the best moments in Game of Thrones, because it's been a long time coming.
Sneaking away in the background, being a dick, and he got what was coming.
Yeah, he definitely did. And is he the only like major character who's actually died this season? I can't think of anybody else.
Except we lost the priest.
Guy,
he doesn't quite count, does he?
I guess the sand.
They did,
sand
but we didn't care
died.
about them so much.
And Lady Olenna.
Yeah, Olenna.
Terrible loss.
I'm also thinking. No, I've lost it. Some piss poor minor characters or other.
Yeah. Next week we'll have an in memoriam.
Fine with me.
Wrap-up show. Yep. So then we go back to King's Landing, where Jamie is getting the army ready to go north. Cersei busts in and is like, "What?
Surprise.
What do you think you're doing? We're not going north. It was all a stupid lie. You're an idiot. Can't you see I was playing him?"
No.
Yeah, but did you see that coming?
Did not see that coming. I am
Yeah, me neither.
incredibly stoked that Jamie finally has a backbone. Like he's that like I don't want to say it's the straw that broke the camel's back because it was a pretty large straw. But it's like finally the thing that's separated him and Cersei. Hopefully. He's at least maybe he's going to join the other guys and the good fight. Maybe he's just going to go tell them or something like that. Maybe he's going to get on the King's Road and die very soon afterwards. But he's got a backbone and he's doing, at least as far as we know, he's doing the stuff that we want him to because everybody likes Jamie. I like Jamie. Jamie's a good character. He's a good guy.
Yeah. It's crazy to think where he's come from at the start of the series to where he is now. Where at the start of the series,
and he had a particularly poor English accent. Yeah, he sounded much more. Wherever the fuck his crazy last name that ends with a J is from.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try. But yeah, this is great. Pretty good scene. It's great to see. Again, Cersei says he's going to kill somebody, and Jamie offers for Cersei to kill him, and she doesn't take him up on the offer, which I think goes back to the fact that family is more important to Cersei than she's willing to let on.
And we get confirmation that the Golden Company are on the way. That's when we learn that that Euron is actually going to get the Golden Company. 20,000 men and horses and elephants. Elephants confirmed to exist in the Game of Thrones world. And they call them elephants. Wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, that's yeah, crazy.
No.
Not very imaginative. So, yeah, that's what I think Theon's going to come up against next season. He's going to go try and save Yara, and he's going to come up against
Christ, I didn't even think about that until you just said it. That he's going... But I assume he thinks that Euron has gone back to the Iron Islands, doesn't he? So he goes back to the Iron Islands and nobody is there. True. And then he goes, oh, shit. Something's wrong. So maybe he'll actually be quite helpful in that way that he somehow goes, Euron didn't come back. Watch out for elephants behind you or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, on a boat.
How did you say they're going to ship
else would you ship an elephant?
I mean, yeah, but how many, I know they have a big fleet, but how many elephants do they have, do you reckon? Because how many elephants
at least one
can you fit in one of those boats? It can't be too many.
Do
they have to do a couple of round trips to get all their elephants?
He talked about how many boats did they make? They talked in a previous episode about making 100,000 ships or something.
I think he's just said it's the largest fleet. Which is crazy. Where'd they get all the wood from? Because I thought they stole their boats at the start.
I think they just
the last
stole
season.
A selection of the fastest ones, but that's all right.
That's
20,000 men.
Sense.
So that's enough to ferry them across from Essos.
Yeah. So pretty much, yes, I think that's the name that
I think Essos is just like the other continent kind of thing. Like Westeros and Essos are the two continents,
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. Okay, so then we go back to Winterfell.
We had
Sam has finally arrived at Winterfell.
Then.
The one person who doesn't have time travel. The only person in
disappointing,
who can't fast travel, Sam.
That is kind of sad, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it is a little bit. Then he rocks up
him
to
poking his head in the
Bran.
door. I need that as a GIF, please. If anybody can send me the GIF of Sam's head coming into the door, Tom DeBomb 89.
Tom DeBomb 89 everywhere,
and it wouldn't be helpful on Snapchat either because it disappears very quickly. But yeah, I want that as a GIF, and I want to use it all the time.
Yeah.
R plus L equals J.
Cool that they know they remember each other. The Bran remembers him. He has a terrible memory now. He remembers. He doesn't remember the little things. And Sam asks him what he did above the wall, and he says, "I became a three-eyed raven."
I believe you.
All right. Okay. And another great joke. He tells Sam that John's coming back with Danny, and says, "Oh, did you see that in one of your visions?" And he holds up the scroll.
That was quite good.
Which I thought was great. But then, we get into the big reveal. Well, sort of reveal that them putting all the puzzle pieces together. That John is actually Aegon Targaryen. He's not a bastard. His father is Rhaegon Targaryen and Rhaegar Targaryen.
Lyanna.
And then he married Ned's sister legally. Lyanna. These names. Stark. Legally. The whole rebellion, Robert's rebellion, was based on a lie that Rhaegar
they
stole her.
They legitimately eloped.
Like raped her or whatever, but... Yeah, it was all perfectly legal. She was in love with him. Legal. It was all happy and dandy. Yeah. And, so the whole... Everything leading up to...
All of it.
This has been based on a lie.
Which is
all of it. Which is a pretty common theme in this show.
It's insane.
If you think about it.
And it's incredible. And, like, it's part of what makes the series and... Like, not even by extension, I mean, like, the book series and the story that Railroad's made up. Like, that all of this shit is kind of happening and kind of works. And it makes you understand why and how it takes him so long to write a book. Because he's not just writing the book that you receive, but he is also writing, like... hundreds of years of history prior to that, and he is writing and has story beats for like thousands of years of history in Westeros, probably over in Essos. There's probably somewhere on the other side of the map that we've never been before, but he knows everything that's going on around the corner there. Leave
so
him
stop
be.
giving him such a hard time, internet.
Appreciate what you've got, dickheads.
Just be patient.
I think it's insane. And it's fantastic.
Yes, and of course, intercut with this, we get John making his way into Dany's room, and they fuck.
Oh yeah, he makes it into her room, all right.
They go to Bonetown.
I think that is...
He set sail.
I think that is actually the second largest amount of nudity we've had this entire season. Because we got...
it's been
we got
pretty tame this season. I mean...
Missandei, and Grey Worm. And then we got like John's butt and half a boob from Dany. That was it.
The great butt.
I expected more.
Yeah. And then we get Tyrion sort of watching him go in and sort of standing there awkwardly.
I'm still not sure.
What do you think was up with that? Is he just missing being with a woman?
That's what
I
don't know whether he was angry or concerned or upset, or I don't know what the emotion was that Tyrion's face was doing, but I don't think
is he in love with Dany?
I think he'd go there.
Everybody falls in love with Dany.
I think it's probably, I assume, got more to do with the conversation that he and Cersei had that we didn't hear. And it's
my line of thinking as well.
Must have something to do with him knowing what Cersei is planning, and actually they're going up there and they're fucked, but they've got to do their best effort or something. Cersei might have said that if they get together, then all of King's Landing is going to burn, or Christ knows. Yeah. Nobody has any idea what Cersei said, but I am inclined to think that he is so worried or whatever because of Cersei.
Yeah. It was awkward, though. It was very creepy and weird.
He shouldn't have just been standing there watching like that. He should be... Cool. He's Tyrion. He should be going and getting drunk somewhere, yeah.
I know, doing something else. You should be getting drunk. Yeah, talk to Varys.
Go chat with the eunuch. Go, get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah. Didn't get enough Varys this episode. A lot of characters we didn't get enough of. But then we get a really nice capping scene between Arya and Sansa. They sort of talk their problems out. And Sansa says... No, Arya tells Sansa she couldn't have gotten through what she went through, marrying all the terrible people. And
I forgot about that scene.
Done what to her or whatever. And yeah. And then they reflect on Ned Stark and remembering him and... talking about
Packs
how
of Eyes, yeah.
the lone wolf dies.
He's the real
Packs of
MVP,
Eyes.
is Ned, and that's why he died down in King's Landing, because he was like a lone wolf and all that sort of malarkey. He's real MVP, saving Jon, because he must have known. He knew by that point that he was the heir to the Iron Throne. But by that point, Rhaegar is dead. The two other kids are dead, and that's the last. Yeah, and just before Lyanna dies, he gets Jon.
And he saves him, because if they had found out he was a Targaryen, he would have been killed straight away. Because they killed the other two little kids. I mean,
Rhaegar's kids they killed.
Yeah. Apparently, is it true that one of his other kids was called Aegon as well?
Well,
that is stupid.
So
why would you name two of your kids the same name?
I've got no idea, but there was only... It was dead at that point, wasn't it? No, I think... Wasn't it... It was before the rebellion, so he still would have been alive. When Jon was born?
In theory.
No, Jon and...
Oh no, it was during the war.
Jon was conceived.
This timeline is confusing.
After they got married, presumably, or round about that point, which was the start of Robert's rebellion. Yeah? Yes. And during Robert's rebellion, the other kids and Rhaegar die, and Lyanna goes and gives birth to Jon, who at that point, the other kids she dies, but the other kids are already dead. So I don't know why she wouldn't call him like Rhaegar after his dad, who's dead, chose the son instead. And that's when you get into crazy fan theories about.
And did she choose the name, or
because Aegon the Conqueror, who came over on Balon the Dread or something like that, the Mega Dragon, and united the 5 kingdoms or whatever. Originally, so there's a lot of like history in that. I was doing some googling, and apparently there've been 4 kings called Aegon already. So there you have it.
It's weird. Anyway, then we get cut to Bran, who walks to see what's happening up at the wall, and Tommen and the other guy have a look over, and perfect timing by Bran. That's when the Army of the Dead decided to show up, and that dragon from last week came in really useful, because it fucked up the wall and made a massive hole.
Fuck.
Did you see the Night King riding the dragon?
That was surprising. He was definitely going to ride that. Like,
fuck shit up. Yeah.
The end of the last
horse wasn't good enough
episode. It was already reasonably obvious that the dragon was going to die, and that the Night King was going to get it to like even out the battlefield kind of thing. And it was the very easy answer for who is going to ride the third dragon, because Dany's obviously got one of them. Jon was assumed to be going to ride the second one, and then it was like, who the hell rides the third? And that's where like Tyrion theories come in and all that sort of stuff. But actually, the Night King's riding it.
Yeah, it makes sense. The Night King,
and it's fire. It just
crazy.
It breeds blue fire, which I'm quite happy with. Yeah, ice would have been a bit annoying. I think
that would have been a bit on the nose.
Yeah, I guess we get confirmation later. It could just be like some kind of strange liquid ice as water. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, no, it's fire. It's blue fire.
Yeah, And that cut through the wall like
Yeah.
butter. Like a hot
That
knife through butter.
is-
That's the phrase.
Heart-wrenching.
That's it. Yeah, it looked really good. The special post-production special effects team need to.
I'd probably give
Gold
them
star,
more of
because
an
that looked
Emmy than a
very
gold
impressive.
star, but sure.
I think they'd just be happy with a gold star. I
Yeah,
don't know why they need an Emmy or anything, but
Watch that again.
I'm sure
and
they'll take
see
the
the
Emmy anyway,
scale
but-
of the Night King on the dragon changing all the time. Like, yeah, when they have close-up shots
yeah,
of people riding the dragon, it's kind of as though they're riding a horse and they're able to straddle it completely. And then when they're further away, you kind of get the shots of them kind of like stretched out a little bit down the dragon's back. And sometimes it takes, sometimes they take up the whole dragon, like they're standing on the top of its tail, and other times they don't get anywhere near the middle of its back. Yeah. It'll bug you now that I've told you about it, and I'm not sorry.
nitpicking Tom. Yeah, it will. Just broken the phase of illusion, the glass of illusion, whatever. Do you reckon he has feelings? Do you think he's thinking inside? Whee!
Oh no,
When he's
he's
driving,
got
flying
zero
around on the
fucks to
dragon,
give.
or is he just nah?
Nah. He's just
Doesn't
trying
care.
to take the land over for himself. Because that's what they were supposed to do in the first place. Like, the children of the forest created the White Walkers to get rid of man. And
Yeah, and they fucked up. 'cause
yeah,
they
that
wanted to
didn't
take
quite
over.
work.
Get rid of
And
everybody.
yeah. Bran the Builder is Bran. There's another theory for
Yeah,
you.
so
You're aware of that one?
yep. So yeah, that's what. No. No. The theory that he
Bran
goes back in time and
goes
builds
back
the wall.
and builds the wall, and that he is like Bran from our time is Bran the Builder who built the wall. Yep.
That's.
Nope.
I can't say anything is crazy anymore.
So
'cause
I'm
crazy's just gone
pretty
out the window in
sure
the show.
that
Anything can happen.
Tormund didn't die. I like to think he didn't. So there's the last scene you see of the wall.
Hopefully not.
Well,
Hopefully not, because he and
that's on my
Brienne need
notes.
to get together and have those
They
giant
still
babies.
need to get together. But yeah, you see on the top of the wall that there are still like huts or stations or whatever along the top further down the wall, still part of like Eastwatch that haven't crumbled into the sea or whatever. So hopefully he got.
So
Yeah, he was.
he didn't try and run
like
down
the
the
last
stairs, he
scene
was
we
running
get of him.
across.
He's
Is your
running
hope?
across with old Dundarian. Don't see them die or their bodies, so zero confirmation that they're actually dead. I don't believe it.
Yep. And if you don't see, well, I was going to say if you don't see them die on screen, they're not dead, but they've killed all of
They
people on
have,
screen,
but you see bodies or something like that. So
yeah. I guess
we
we'll
will.
find out next season, whenever
2000
whenever that airs. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but
yeah,
it
2000
could be
question mark. at this
2019,
point.
unfortunately.
I really
Yep,
want it.
So
I want it like as soon as possible. I just into my veins.
you want it so bad?
Yeah, I'm also happy for them to take the time that they
mean-
need to put it together. So, is it a
it's only
confirmed
6 more episodes. I'm pretty sure they did confirm it's 6 episodes. They're going to be like this sort of length, like
Yeah.
the 80-minute sort of
But 6
extended
episodes.
length, but 6 more episodes. And there's still so much to wrap up, which I'm sure we'll cover next week. But there's still so many loose ends that need to be tied up, and
I will
needs to play out,
rewatch
and
this season and
Tom.
hopefully contribute to that conversation with some
And
loose
Tom.
ends that need tying up. Like, where did Bron and Pod go? And
So, Tom.
what are they doing together? Did they?
They went to a pub. They got
they?
drunk. No, they hit up.
yeah, they probably
they hit
did
up
that,
Littlefinger's brothel
with his magic cock.
because
Yep.
yeah, Pod is so good they got paid to stay there. Magic.
Night King.
So, Tom, the question that we ask every single week on this show: Who's getting up
am
on the
still
Iron
in the
Throne?
camp that the Night King is going to end up killing everybody.
Well, that last shot, I think the odds are
I
very.
don't know if I'm like
firmly in his
100%
favour.
confirmed on that. I think that I would feel a little sick if that happened, but then be really excited that the story that was wanted to be told was told, because if I ever write a book, it might be a space version of the Game of Thrones, and it turns out the bad guy's just going to win, or something like that. Yeah, I'll fuck
Yeah.
with you.
Spoilers for a
that's
book that may
practically
or may
never,
not come out.
ever going to exist. Don't worry about it.
Do you reckon if they did that everybody it would like ruin the book series for people? People like,
No, I think
I don't need to read the books now.
it sounds like they've diverged sufficiently. That yeah,
There's other storylines that
Yeah.
people would be.
I
invested in.
think there's enough. There's enough to make me want to go and read the books, or listen to the audiobooks is the more likely option. But yeah.
Well, for me, I think in the end, good will prevail, and it's going to be John and Daddy, man and wife, on the throne. He's not going to care that he's aunt. He's not going to care that she's his aunt. They're going to try and keep that.
That's how they control the dragons,
bloodline, nice
and that's
and
how they've
strong.
always done it. So there's no point changing now. And he's a Stark. Like,
It makes sense.
by blood
Yeah.
or whatever. He might be a Targaryen, but he is he is
He's
half
half
Stark,
Stark.
but he is like born and raised Stark. He doesn't behave
Yeah.
like a Targaryen. So
No.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so that was episode 7 of Game of Thrones, The Wolf and the Dragon, which sort of makes sense, the title, but it was
The
revealed
dragon
that they're
and the
both
dragon.
dragons, I guess.
Kind of gives it away a little, doesn't it?
But yeah, it does. Yeah, so if you like this episode, give us a nice like down below. Hit smash that subscribe button, like they like to say in so many of these videos. Follow us on Twitter at ExplosionPod, and tune in next week where we'll wrap everything up. We'll give preview, wrap up of the season. I think we're going to order all of the episodes in order.
Aim to be here.
Give our previews for season 8.
To be confirmed if I'm invited
Tom
back
will hopefully be
after,
here.
after this episode.
I'm sure you will be. I think maybe we'll just edit
We'll
you
see.
in somehow. Dylan will
good like
do
that.
his editing magic.
Love you, Dub.
So stay tuned.
Bye.
Cool. Thank you, and good night. Assuming it's night.